Hello there, welcome along to In the Loop, the weekly theme park news show from Park Rush. I'm Tom, joining me as ever is Josh.
Hello there.
Hey there, Josh, how's it going?
I'm good, how about yourself?
I've been doing all right, but it's slowly or actually quite quickly dawning on me that my role in the Park Rush enterprise may be on its last legs. I feel like I'm quickly being replaced by a bunch of boomers. Oh. Not content with ruining my actual life, the boomers are coming for my podcast life as well.
What can I say? They love it.
Explain yourself.
Well,
you've been
recording a podcast this week, not with Tom, but with my parents. That went out yesterday as you're watching this. And it's all about their trip to Disney World. Giving you a boomer side look of a Disney World trip. And that's part one. Part two will go out next week. And then we're off to Chessington World of Adventures. What's it called these days? Chessington Theme Park and Zoo? I don't know, they keep changing it. So we're going to do another podcast with them after that. Kicking Tom off, especially for the anniversary of this fine podcast.
I know, it's an absolute disgrace, but it is what it is, and at least I'm still here on In the Loop. So
absolutely, for now.
I'll see for now, yeah. I'm not going to count my chickens at this stage. Anyway, if you're new here and you don't know what Park Rush is, that is a weekly theme park podcast that's been running since 2018. So yeah, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary, which is quite extraordinary. But as the podcast this year has pivoted more towards trip reports and stuff because, travel restrictions have fallen by the wayside. As, we haven't been talking so much about theme park news week to week, and that's where In the Loop comes in. So each week we pick out 3 or 4 stories or rumours or topics of interest to talk about here on our YouTube channel. It has also been doing double duty as the main podcast the last couple of weeks, but no longer. As Josh has said, there's plenty other stuff coming up on the main podcast feed. But if you would like In the Loop as a podcast instead of as a video show, then you should go and find Park Rush on Patreon for just £1 a month. That is the tier you need to get In the Loop as an audio podcast. So maybe worth a look. And for everything else Park Rush related, the best place to go is links.parkrush.com. Literally can find everything there. Podcast apps, TikTok, etc. And if you want to get in touch, it's podcast@parkrush.com. That is the best place to get in touch with the show. Without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start this week, Josh, with a brand new theme park.
Oh boy.
Hell yeah. Fitting in a way, because of course, as you say, you're heading to Chessington, one of kind of the family theme parks of choice here in the UK. I would argue that the other for a lot of families is Legoland.
Yeah.
And it's a new Legoland that we're going to talk about today. This one in Belgium. And as luck would have it, Josh, this is going to be in Charleroi, which is the city we briefly stopped off in on our European theme park road trip, literally just for an hour or so to stretch our legs on the big main travel day. I think a little bit of Charleroi features in the first Euro Rush vlog.
It does.
Here on the YouTube channel. So as luck would have it, Josh, I guess we're going to have to go back.
Oh, boy. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. But not until 2027.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully it's improved by then.
Yeah, it was quite an industrial city, a bit of a student town as well. But, we weren't there for long, clearly, but first impressions at least were that, there wasn't a ton going on, wasn't the liveliest place. So, an interesting place to set a Legoland park. But, Legoland, it sounds crazy to say about Lego, which is obviously a massive brand, and Legoland, which has been a very well-known theme park here in the UK for a long time. But it does feel like they've really started to stretch their legs in the last sort of 10 years or so. Obviously, the Florida park has really come into its own.
Yep.
We had New York park that opened relatively recently. So they're really expanding in a big way. I mean, are you starting to take Legoland more seriously, Josh? Is it becoming somewhere that, do you want one day, obviously, do you want to have kids not for kind of, the family of your dreams, but really just so that you can go to a Legoland without looking weird?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two reasons really that I want kids. It's so that I can watch Bluey without feeling weird, and to go to a Legoland because again, it feels a bit weird going to a Legoland as an adult without any kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the Legolands as they are, I mean, they tend to match each other pretty closely, but they do sometimes come with their own sort of unique attractions, which in some cases, should they prove successful and popular, can then pop up at the existing parks. So would you expect them to follow a sort of similar formula with the Charleroi Park? Can you see this opening with stuff to call its own, or do you think it's going to be a sort of greatest hits of what we've seen before?
I think it will. Obviously, you have the mini city that you can walk through, or the various cityscapes and that sort of thing. That is a factor in all the parks, but I think it will have its own kind of ideas. As this will be built on the former Caterpillar industrial site, maybe have like a Lego City themed attractions that incorporate some sort of digger/tractor sort of idea going on. Something like that. That'd be kind of a cool idea.
You mean like Diggerland?
Kind of like Diggerland, yeah, but, Lego-ified.
Kent's finest theme park. I mean, I think ultimately that was the reason the London resort backed away.
Yes.
Because it was like, you know what, we thought we could take on Diggerland, but actually maybe we can't.
It's just down the road.
Let's just get out.
Yeah,
they used the hippies and their spider obsession as a front for their decision to back away. Actually, it was all Diggerland's fault.
And fair play to Diggerland.
Absolutely fair play to Diggerland. No disrespect from me. It's genuinely a fun day out, I seem to recall.
Yes.
It's been a long time, funnily enough. But
yeah, another place you don't really go as an adult without kids.
No, not really. This will be Legoland's 14th theme park, according to this article that we're looking at by Robert Niles at Theme Park Insider. There are 10 currently open. There are 3 in development in China. 3 at once. I mean,
people go home, right?
They're still so hot on COVID restrictions over there. I mean, are these Legolands ever actually going to be allowed to open? Like, as soon as somebody sneezes in there, they're going to close them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Theme parks, building a theme park in China right now seems like a bit of a risky business to me.
I imagine, I don't know if you've seen the Lego City adverts, Tom, but, it's still be like, hey, we need the fire truck. And they suddenly build, like, really quickly the fire truck. I feel like in China it'd be like, hey, we need a COVID vaccination facility. And there's loads of little Lego men come in and really build it really quickly.
They build COVID testing sites out of Lego. That'd be cool.
So good.
Yeah. It'd almost be worth getting COVID just so that you can go to the testing site that's made of Lego.
Maybe not.
Maybe not in China.
Yeah.
I don't really. I'd be a bit worried about what might happen to me if I got COVID in China.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But it's going to be the first Legoland in Europe since 2002. When Germany got its Legoland. So we're overdue here. The Europeans are overdue a Legoland, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. Enough to pin another road trip on, Josh, do you think?
Yeah, maybe, a Legoland road trip. Do all of the Legolands.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Don't hit me, Frodo. That sounds like a really good time. You know what also sounds like a good time, Josh?
What's that?
The renovated Revenge of the Mummy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. We talked about this on the show, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Still sort of as a rumour,
Yes.
There was something on the wind that it might be about to come back finally. And it has now soft opened. So people, if you're lucky enough, who've been at Universal in the past sort of few days, have been able to get on this ride. Now, obviously, soft opening means that it may not be open all day. There might be things about it that aren't running as they should, although you're probably used to that. If the last time you were on the Mummy, there's a good chance plenty of stuff wasn't working as it should. So, we've all got used to that, I suppose. But it's just great to see it back, because I think, as I said on our trip report of Universal Studios when I got back earlier this year, there is quite now a long stretch of the park that at the time felt a little bit sorry for itself. You came in from the entrance and head straight on. Obviously, Shrek 4D had gone by then. The Monster Cafe was just about to go. You walk past Rip Ride Rocket and Jimmy Fallon, and then turn the corner and head down to where the Mummy was, and obviously that was closed too. So there wasn't like a great deal of energy to quite a long stretch of the opening of that theme park. So I'm really, really pleased that this is back. And it sounds like they've done, just about everything that you would hope they would do with this, beyond kind of knocking it down and starting again like they did with Hulk. It sounds like these upgrades are going to put it in a pretty good place for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Hopefully, I haven't heard anything negative coming out of the soft opening yet. Put it back in a good place. It's still one of my favourites in Orlando, one of my favourites, especially at Universal, if not maybe my favourite at this particular park. So it's good to see it back in all its glory. Brendan Fraser and all.
Yes, Brendan Fraser and all. Alicia Stella from Orlando Park Stop. It's her write-up that we're looking at. And yes, she does confirm that the famous Brendan scene with the cup of coffee, which many feared may well be lost during the renovation when the ride first closed back in January. But that does remain. So far as what's changed, I think it seems like a lot of the type of thing where if it's been a really long time since you've been on it, you might not even notice. To mine, as far as I could tell, to my mind, this feels like trying to put it back in a place where it feels like it did on opening day.
Yeah.
So, it's been touched up. The exterior courtyard has been repaved. Other areas have been repainted. The animatronics run a lot more smoothly. The projections and the screens during like the Scarab scene have been sharpened up. New lighting effects in the launch tunnel, smoother brakes, smoother launch. So yeah, it seems like it's very much a kind of good as new kind of a renovation, rather than like an attempt to kind of remake parts of the ride or change what it's always been about and what it's been like. Seems like in terms of like really noticeable, wow, this is different. It's actually the gift shop that has changed a bit more. The gift shop was sort of temporarily turned into a kind of classic monsters shop while the ride was down, and I went in there and it was really good fun. It seems like they've kept some of that here and given it a nice upgrade compared to what it was before. And there are some good pictures that frankly make me want to go back and hoard some of this Mummy merch.
Yes, a lot of this merch is really cool. Looks like they've got skateboard decks, which is I do like skateboard decks. I think they're cool. A lot of, and like you said, the classic monsters merch and all that stuff. It looks great collection going on there.
Very much so. Very much so. I want to go back. But God, have you seen the exchange rate right now? I think the pound has dropped to. I think you get $1.16 now for your pound.
I think that's quite possibly the worst it's ever been in our lifetimes.
Oh yeah, in our lifetimes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is scary times, Josh. Do you think it's going to? Think we're going to sink below $1?
The dollar, I don't know. Potentially, the ironic thing would be when the euro is stronger than the pound. I don't think that's happened yet either. No. But the irony of that won't be lost on me. That's for sure.
we're going to have to do a Rick O'Connell and go raid some tombs and temples, find new riches, so that we don't have to rely on the pound coins.
We're British. We're good at that sort of thing.
Absolutely. If there's one thing we know how to do, it's to pilfer somewhere else for riches that we don't frankly deserve.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, something which I think we all deserve. We've waited long enough, and that is TRON Lightcycle Run at the Magic Kingdom and Coaster Studios over on YouTube. We're catching up with you guys with your 215,000 subscribers. We're nearly there.
Almost.
We'll get there when we get there. Anyway, they've got some great footage of the ride testing at night time.
Oh, it looks so
you get
good.
a fantastic look at how the canopy is lit up at night. And, you know, everyone's very cynical about this, and I think rightly so to an extent. It has taken a very long time. There's still no official kind of opening date or opening window. I would expect surely to find out what it is at D23 coming up this coming weekend. And based on this video, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, Josh, if this thing does open this year.
Yeah, it's got to be right. It's got to come for Christmas.
Yeah, I think so. I think
TRON Lightcycle,
like Ratatouille.
not just for Christmas.
Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, look, everyone knows what it is. It's been lifted over from Shanghai, so people know what to expect. But I'm still very much looking forward to it, and I very much hope that it's, you know, once the railroad is back open and just the kind of all the obvious signs of construction are gone, and this is just a ride that is raring to go and open. I do hope that it really looks the part as part of Tomorrowland and complements Space Mountain really nicely.
Yeah, same.
That's my hope for sure. I'm very, very, very excited to check it out. And
It looks so good.
yeah, I mean, have you done any roller coasters where you straddle it like a motorbike? I mean, what's the closest?
Not roller coasters, no. I guess, yeah, the closest would be Pandora, I guess, would be the closest, which is obviously not the same, but you do straddle a beast.
You certainly do. Yeah. It does kind of add to the sensation, you know, leaning into the turns and the corners. You know, it's quite a different experience. It's why I was very keen to ham it up on Hagrid, because the bike seat on that is designed in a way where you can basically just sit in it like a normal roller coaster if you prefer. You don't have to lean forward, but I found it to be much more enjoyable and felt much more unique by doing that. So, you know, it basically being mandated on TRON, that is exactly how you have to straddle this thing like a bike. I think it's gonna make it stand out compared to all the other coasters certainly at Disney World.
For sure.
So there we are.
I'm just mesmerised by this video that I've got on loop here.
Yeah, it's very cool. I absolutely love the lighting. I really do. Finally, I've got a piece from Variety here. Now, Josh, I've got a bit lucky here, and it may well be that you haven't, because I think this is, if not behind a paywall, at least behind some sort of registration. But I managed to open it up on my iPad, and it wasn't asking that of me. I've also got it open on my computer, and it does want me to log in. How's it looking for you?
It's looking all good right now.
It's looking all good. Excellent. I didn't want to go super in depth into this article itself. It's been written up by Heidi Chung. I'd recommend if you don't have to log in or you don't mind logging in, it's a very good read. But it just kind of follows on from something we talked about last week, which the Wall Street Journal wrote about, which was, you know, Disney's rising prices and the tension between the kind of demand and how much it was costing people now to go to Disney World. And this is quite an interesting companion piece by Heidi at Variety, headlined "Why Theme Parks Are Proving Recession-Proof." And ultimately, the most obvious answer to that question is that even if entry tickets haven't gone up enormously, or and even though there are attendance caps in place, in-park spending is up in a big way. And a big part of that is, of course, in Disney's case, by making you pay for things that were previously free. And in the case of places like SeaWorld, it's by hiking prices really shamelessly and just making you pay more for things than before. I mean, do you think this is something that is going to keep happening, Josh? I mean, we said last week they're basically going to push as far as they feel like they can get away with, squeeze their guests for as much as they can before it becomes unsustainable. Reading this, I think, just kind of reinforces it for me that, yes, that is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it will 100% happen. You know, they can get away with it, so why would they not get away with it? You know, continue to get away with it, right? They'll keep pushing it until they can get away with it no longer, and then they'll roll it back ever so slightly. But they've gone so far by that point that the slight rollback looks good, but isn't really on paper compared to what it was previously. And then that's where it'll sit for a little while until people get comfortable with that again, and then you push it again, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And another thing we've spoken about before is that, you know, even though money is becoming very tight for everyone, not for absolutely everyone, but for a large, increasing majority of people, and obviously if a recession is officially declared, then things are only going to get worse. But people did build up quite a lot of expendable income during the pandemic. During the pandemic itself, that was going on things like streaming services or, you know, video games, at-home entertainment, in-home entertainment. Now, as the pandemic draws to a close, people have kind of got an appetite to spend money on things that get them out and about, holidays, or restaurants, obviously, cinemas, things like that. And theme parks have proven to have bounced back pretty strongly. You know, Disney and Comcast have both reported fantastic financials so far as their theme parks go. I think Comcast cited Universal Orlando's bounce back as being, you know, a massive part of why they came through the pandemic pretty strongly so far as their financials are concerned. And there's an interesting chart in this piece in terms of the percentage of American adults who would feel comfortable going to an amusement park. And it's pretty high right now. And obviously April 2020 is a real low ebb. It's, you know, just over 10%. And at this point now it's close to 60. So, you know, the demand is up, and that's being reflected in the profits that these companies are enjoying right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, with everyone being locked down for so long, coming out back of that, people realise that, you know, life's too short to kind of waste, which is why that kind of percentage has gone up. But also, people like to use theme parks as a way to escape from, you know, real life, as it were. So that's why I think a lot more people, you know, we continue to go through struggles, be it, you know, the aftermath of the pandemic or the struggle everyone's feeling, the pinch due to the conflict in Ukraine. So people like to get away from that, and theme parks is a way of getting away from that, even if it's, you know, a big expenditure. People feel a lot more comfortable doing that because it's such an escape from the real world.
Yeah, I can't stress that enough. That was, I think, a big part of why I enjoyed the trip so much this year, is that, you know, that sense of escapism. I appreciated it more than I had done for a really long time. And yeah, there is a lot of absolute nonsense that you have to put up with, and the prices are crazy, and you do feel like you're being fleeced. But, you know, at the end of the day, these are still really, you know, fantastic sources of escapism. And as you say, after a number of years of being locked away and of people having some real hardships to contend with, and they're continuing, of course, you know, if you can afford it, then a theme park is quite a good place to kind of get away and forget about your everyday struggles, whether it's just for a day or for, a couple of weeks if you're going as part of a long trip.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be interesting because, the last recession in 2008, 2009 did hit theme parks really hard. I mean, the 2010s were a rough time for international travel because obviously there was a massive hit in terms of people's confidence in air travel after 9/11, and then after the recession, people simply couldn't afford to do it. So it'll be interesting whether or not, as I say, if another recession does come, whether we see close to the same sort of impact, certainly on international travel to places like Florida and California. This article seems, I think, whilst it's focused more on domestic attendance, it does seem to think that theme parks are in a better place to deal with a recession now than they have been in the past. So we'll watch it closely here, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to do it, Josh. That's all we've got for this week's episode of In the Loop. If you're watching here on YouTube, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the show, then do give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel. If you're listening to the podcast version, then thank you very much for being a patron of Park Rush. If you want to keep up with the podcast or the show or whatever else we're getting up to, then as I said earlier, links.parkrush.com is the best place to go. That's where you'll find the YouTube channel, the Patreon page, and of course links to where you can find the podcast. It's at parkrush.com primarily, but also on all the podcasting apps that you could hope it would be on. If you want to get in touch with the show, as well, as I said at the top, the best place is podcast@parkrush.com. Josh, what's coming up this week? Obviously, we've had the Boomer, the first part of the Boomer's Guide to Florida.
Yeah.
We've had In the Loop, but there's another vlog coming up. Where are we going in the next Euro Rush vlog in a couple of days?
We're going to Movie Park Germany.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The title gives it away, I think, a little bit. The title of that episode is podcast, a theme park not worth visiting? ?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well,
wait and see. You have to watch it to find out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll look forward to that. We went, so you don't have to. And In the Loop will be back next week, so we will see you then with another helping of theme park news. Take it easy and stay safe out there, everyone. Once again, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
See ya.